Hallo, das ist Usama von Supermango
And Rob from Drift Establishment.
und heute beantworten wir eure Frage, welches Auto benötige ich, um dieses Hobby RC Driften zu starten.
So today we're just going to look at some chassis and how to start drifting. Where's your best point to start? Look at some simpler chassis and look at some of the more expensive exotic ones as well.
Exactly, and we have some chassis around us. Also wir haben ein paar auch Autos zur Verfügung. Wir können euch dann präsentieren. Es gibt verschiedene Chassis, Heckantrieb und Allradantrieb. Rob wird es euch erklären.
Yeah, so we've got rear-wheel drive and we've got counter-steer chassis here to show you. And we've borrowed these from many of the club members here today, so we'll show you some of them. So basically, there's a counter-steer chassis which drives all four wheels. Usually, the rear wheels are going faster than the front wheels. You can change the ratio to suit your driving style. The increased speed at the rear makes the car counter-steer, hence the name. Quite a difficult car to drive. Originally, this was where the hobby started with these cars. Rear-wheel drives weren't so popular. That has now changed in recent years, where I'd say 90%, maybe even 95% now of people are driving rear-wheel drive and less people are driving counter-steer.
Und warum fahren die Leute jetzt mehr Heckantrieb als Allradantrieb? Weißt du das?
I think there's been a fashion change towards driving the rear-wheel drive cars, and one of the reasons is there's been sophisticated gyros developed by the manufacturers to allow you to control the rear-wheel drive car more effectively.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so that was the Allradantrieb.
Ja.
Das war der Allradantrieb und jetzt zeigen wir euch mal auch einen Heckantrieb, weil da sind ein paar Systeme verbaut, die nicht so einfach zu handhaben sind. Welche sind diese Systeme?
Yeah, so simply the counter-steer cars, this is a shaft-driven counter-steer car where there's a shaft that runs from front to back. There are some that use a belt mechanism. You can see, hopefully there's a belt that drives from the central motor forward and rear. This car is an MST, MS1D. It's a very, very good, ready-to-run car. Great for beginners. It's what my son used for his let's say, hobby in drifting. A great car, usually bought for about 300 to 400 euros, brand new. Second hand, you've seen these go down to about 100, 150 euros now. So it's a really good way of getting into the hobby. You can go up market and start buying expensive chassis. This is a Yokomo YD4 MR, and then fitted with some really good engine parts. You can be looking at over €1,000. If you're really serious about doing the hobby, maybe it's a good investment to take right from the beginning, rather than spend your money twice.
Gute Idee, ja. Okay, aber was denkst du denn über die Tamiya-Fahrzeuge? Tamiya und Sakura, das sind zwei Companies, die ganz billige Fahrzeuge anbieten. Lohnt sich das?
Yeah, so the Tamiya were one of the first companies to introduce drift cars. There's been now some more specialist companies come into it that normally produce, let's say, racing vehicles, such as Yokomo, which has a long history in the racing side. They've now come into drifting in a very big way. The most common cars you'll see on the circuit today in the competitions and at clubs are usually now MST, which is from Malaysia, and Yokomo, which is Japanese. There are some specialist upgrade chassis, like Revol, which comes from, I believe, is Denmark.
Denmark, okay.
And there's a Japanese company called Overdose, which is an expensive, beautifully made car, but I think the price makes it somewhat rarer, certainly over here. Okay. I think in Germany and in Britain, I think the two big manufacturers are MST and Yokomo at the moment.
Okay, alright. Kannst du uns mal das System hier zeigen? Wo ist der Gyro und wo ist der Motor und
Okay.
was macht das Lied?
Okay, so here we have an example of an MST rear-wheel drive car. MST used to make the FXX, which had a front motor, was shaft driven to a gearbox in the back. The weight distribution of that car was around 60% front, 40% back. There's been a big shift in the design of these cars, and now most of the cars that you'll see on the rear-wheel drive competitions and in the clubs are now rear-wheel driven, but the motor's at the rear, I should say. Yeah. That's now popular and seems to be the way it's going, with at least 60% rear weight distribution. Regulations stipulate you can't have more than 65. So this is an MST. This is fully hopped up. It's aluminium and carbon fibre basically all the way throughout it. Here we have a Yokomo under here, which is a YD2 Plus. There are lots of developments of this, the YD2S and the YD2E. This was the initial first car, the YD2 Plus, but this has had the latest Yokomo front steering system, the Lenkrad system.
Also der Lenkanschlag ist sehr, sehr wichtig. Ist der auch wichtig bei dem...
In counter steer, you don't get as much angle from the front wheels as you do in a rear-wheel drive car. One of the real trends at the moment is to be able to go to extreme angles where the steering is like this and you're driving sideways going through like that. A counter steer car tends to slide its way sideways rather than drive like that. Setup wise, for a rear-wheel drive car, the steering system has to absolutely be perfect, and you need to spend a lot of time developing, setting up your own setup, testing, trying to find what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Again, motor at the back. This motor's a low motor. There are some, as previously it was a higher motor. The weight of these cars is about 1,500 grams. Yeah. Some are lighter, some are heavier. Some people prefer to go lighter, some people prefer to go heavier. Yokomo make a very good introduction car for rear-wheel drive, which is called the YD2S, and there's a plastic chassis version, which is a very, very good starter kit indeed to use. This is slightly more tuned and hopped up with its parts, especially with the new front system. But if you really want to develop, you need to look at starting maybe with a rear-wheel drive car now rather than a counter-steer car.
Genau, ja. Vielleicht ein Wort zu diesen Bodies.
Okay, so you can buy what's called a ready-to-run kit, an RTR kit. This is effectively an RTR kit. It comes with everything you need in one box. You know, transmitter, engine, everything's all there. You don't need to go out and buy different bits and put them together. You basically just build the car up due to the instructions, and you're ready to run. And even the bodywork comes ready painted in many cases, and you don't even need to paint the bodywork.
Okay.
Just to talk about the hobby, some people do drifting because they love drift cars and they love what happens. Some people are into it just as a fun hobby. Some people are into it because they love to make fantastic bodywork that looks amazingly, well, just so brilliant replication of a real drift car. Some people do it purely because they love drifting as a competition. Even in this club, there has been a shift towards more competition driving in the last 2 years. And for an example of that, in the World Championships, there's going to be at least 6 people going from this club in sort of 4 months, whereas last year I think there was 3. Mm-hmm. And probably next year there'll be even an increase of that. And so people take different things from the hobby.
Exactly, ja. Genau. Und ich möchte noch den Club Welches Drift Crew, kurz DDC, bedanken, dass wir in diesem Raum filmen durften.
Yeah, so today we have to thank the Devil's Drift crew for allowing us to do this short presentation. This is our local club. It's basically south of Stuttgart in Germany, and has quite a thriving membership at the moment.
Ja, ja.
It started in Feuerbach around about 10 years ago, moved here about 4 years ago, and this is now a purpose-made hall. It's got a purpose-made track, and it's a great place to come, and as you'll witness maybe later tonight, there's at least 20 people or so drifting, and it's a great atmosphere. Everybody's really friendly, everybody's really helpful, and we get guests from all around the world, particularly our friends from Switzerland and from Austria, and even some Polish gentlemen here tonight.
Exactly. And also hier findet auch ein paar Läufe der Weltmeisterschaft statt, oder? Hier findet auch der D110 Lauf statt.
Yeah, so there's a German round here, the German round of the D110, and so that's a qualifying system here in Germany to qualify to represent Germany.
Yeah.
Although actually we have people from other nationalities here, like my son, who will represent New Zealand, and an Italian gentleman who will represent Italy, and a Moroccan who may represent Morocco. So we also have people from other nationalities representing us here. It's a great place, and if you've never been here, come here. It's friendly, helpful. You can jump on the plane, fly from England, fly from America, get off at Stuttgart Airport, because we literally are, well, a few kilometres away from Stuttgart Airport.
Auch euch Zuschauern bedanken. And,
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah, don't forget to subscribe to Super Mango.
Super Mango.
Yeah, and if you get a chance, watch something from Drift Establishment. We're going to be starting some more frequent videos. We've just started, and we have one up at the moment, and we're going to be doing some more.
It's going to be fun, yeah. Also, bis zum nächsten Mal. Ciao.
Until next time, bye bye.